we now got to polishing, the final step before our game asset is done. While refining was all about defining the form, lighting, and material of our potion, in the polishing phase we will focus on improving what we have. We are going to smooth out our shading, to add small details, and to enhance both the color and the value contrast using color grading tricks. We haven't talked about it yet, so let me explain what it is. Color grading is the process by which we improve our final picture's colors and lightness. In general, that's a term used in movies and games. We use filters and blending modes to enhance or even to change our image's look, its contrast, its warmth. This is something that you can do at the end of the game asset creation process if you need to. As it involves aspects of Krita we haven't explored yet, namely blending modes and filters, we won't cover it in this video. But it is worth noting that we can do some final global visual tweaks to make our picture really pop on screen. We will talk about this color grading process in the next chapter. Okay, so going back to polishing. In practice, it mostly involves painting locally, zooming in on your artwork. You have to shade more carefully, often with lower pressure and opacity than before. In Krita, you can lower and increase the opacity with the I and the O keys respectively. The first thing you can see me do in the video is adding highlights. This is normally part of refining as it is part of the lighting process. As the highlights sit on their own layer, I can hide them to better smooth the shading of the bottle and the drink. After that, I start using the blending brush presets. Those only mix and smooth out existing colors on the canvas. Thus, they are very useful in the polishing phase. By brushing in specific areas, not everywhere, you get some contrast between smooth and rougher shading. For glass, this helps us to achieve a slightly greasy look in places, making it look a bit more natural. Note that the smudge brushes, the ones with blue thumbnails and white strokes on the screen, are also very useful for that. The difference between the blending brushes and the smudge brushes is that the smudge ones tend to pull existing pixels around on the canvas, they really move them, while the mixing brushes mix colors together. Here's a tip regarding the addition of paint details on your piece. On the cork, you can see me add thick paint, and the flake-like shapes look quite deep at first. However, I did paint them on their own layer, and I can easily lower their opacity to give them a softer feel. You could also mask them out, something we haven't looked at just yet, but we'll explore it in the next chapter. Polishing is a fairly slow and repetitive process. There is really no very specific technique to it. You have to go through each of your layers and to clean up your painting. You can really see how the design carries the characteristics from the thumbnailing and the blocking phases, especially the cross-section look, but also the proportions and the silhouette of the bottle and everything else. However, you can and you should still backtrack if this can make your art look better. You can see at first how I decided to lighten the backside of the potion and to mask out some of the highlights. The idea was to make the bottle look transparent and to make the liquid more visible at the same time. At the end of the process, though, I canceled those changes as the asset looks better to me with strong highlights and the dark background. The goal of these design decisions is to make the mana drink really at the center of the piece, to make it shine as much as possible. And to me, that blue color glow on top of that dark background is what works best. It gives us a good base to add value contrast and to make the little details I add at the end stand out. That's it for polishing. There isn't as much to say on that matter as there is with the other steps. Going through that step successfully is mostly a matter of understanding materials very well, and it will also depend on your technique. In that regard, you'll learn a lot more through practice rather than watching long commentaries. That's why after the video, you will find a companion assignment. Don't hesitate to come back to this chapter later if you feel the need for it. In Chapter 5, we'll look at some more advanced features Krita has to offer and that we need as game artists.